Hello, boys and girls. It's your podcast host of the most, Benjamin Dutil. And I here today, I have a very, very special guest, and I'm truly honored to have him on my show. And this man needs no introduction with his impressive resume, Mr. Robert LaSardo, who I want to say first and foremost, I would love to take this opportunity from one veteran to another to thank you for your service. You are a very cool person to me. I love you as an actor, and I love you as a person. And with over 200 credits on movie intelligence credits on IMDb, it is no doubt that you are known everywhere. You're a very renowned actor, and I have a lot of respect for you because you've been around for a long time. You're old school like me, which is really fucking cool. So, um, quick bio, sir, which is really cool, by the way. You were born in Brooklyn, New York. You began your career studying at the High School of Performing Arts in New York City. And before going on to the Stellar Adler Studio of Acting, you spent 4 years in the Navy. For two of those, you handled Navy attack dogs in the Aleutian Islands. You are best known for your portrayal of Escobar Gallardo on the FX series Nip Tuck. You've also appeared in the Warner Brothers film The Mule, playing opposite Clint Eastwood. And I just want to say thank you very much for being on my show. I am truly honored, and this is a huge pleasure for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the awesome, the infamous Robert LaSardo. How you doing, sir?
I feel grateful that I woke up this morning. You never know. I also wanted to, you went into a very detailed exposition about my life and shared a lot of kind words. So I also want to tell you that I appreciate you and and respect your service, that you're a former veteran like myself. So on Veterans Day, I think it's appropriate that we both recognize the sacrifice that we made and all the others that did as well.
Absolutely. Very kind words, very awesome words for you to say. And I really appreciate that. I do have a lot of respect for veterans because the world doesn't know who provides that blanket of freedom for them. And sometimes we go unnoticed in a lot of places, but yet here we are. So another day. So that's how I see it. You've won some awesome awards that I would like to mention real quick. In 2022, at the Accolade competition, you won the Accolade Global Film Competition Award for Ensemble Cast for Amber Road. At the Hollywood Blood Horror Festival, you won the October Award for Best Acting Ensemble for Amber Road. At the Vegas Movie Awards, you won the Award of Excellence for Best Ensemble for Amber Road. This is amazing, by the way. Congratulations. Anyone who wins awards for anything is awesome. I mean, any award winning actor has a lot of respect for me because it just tells the world you know what the hell you're doing. So, and you put 100% into your roles. How another one I like to mention this year at the Black Swan International Film Festival, you won the best category award for best performing arts for Project Skyquake. So that is super cool, and I love it. I mean, I love watching
I
you in your
watched it
movies.
the other day.
Yeah,
I watched the film Project Skyquake the other day. I enjoyed it. I wanted to understand, clearly with respect to the filmmaker and also the nomination, why, you know, um, so that I could, appreciate what they appreciate about me. So it was fun to watch the film because, when you're doing these things, Benjamin, you don't always. I mean, I black out. I get involved. I get very involved in the work. And I try not to get too attached to the results. It's not easy sometimes, but you have to like just detach afterwards, and you kind of forget about it. But then when you revisit these things, 8 months, a year, a couple of years later, and you go, "Oh, that's what we did. That's what I did. Oh, okay." It's like this possession takes you over, and so I feel like I I'm an audience member too to my own work. So pretty cool.
it is super cool. And like I said, I love you and your acting. It's very obvious you're very talented in what you do. Watching you on the big screen, you definitely shows you put 110% into your role, and I love it. I mean, a lot of actors who do that, but you set the bar for a lot of these actors in Hollywood, and it's a new standard that you have big shoes to fill when it comes to acting. So, um, today I'd like to talk to you about your role in Wishmaster 2: Evil Never Dies. So you play the role of Robert, also an inmate who was falsely accused for his crime that he didn't commit. So, um, how does it feel to be part of that franchise for the Wishmaster franchise?
Um, how does it feel? I felt, I feel and felt then and now fortunate to have worked with Jack Shoulder, who directed that film. He's a very nice man and very capable director and loyal. I worked on another film that he directed called Renegades or Renegade. I can't remember if it's plural or singular, but either way, yeah, it was a pleasure to work with Jack Shoulder on that film, Wishmaster 2.
So, do you remember what inspired you to audition for that role and why?
Um, I think when they would call me and the agency would call me and say, Robert, we've scheduled an audition. I felt it like just like in the military, it was my duty to show up,
Okay.
irregardless of what the material suggested, just an opportunity to maybe secure a job and also demonstrate my commitment to my vocation and creativity before the judgment of those who were going to consider whether or not they should hire me was always a challenge, a bit frightening, but welcomed. So I went in like I went into most of my auditions with full commitment, and it did my best.
Well, you did do a very good role in that character. I mean, like I said, I know you always put like 110% towards your roles, and they chose the right person to play that role because you did it well. Um, your acting in any role, I would say, is phenomenal, and outstanding. So I'm gonna say this that in that scene in that movie is like probably my favorite scene in the entire movie with the lawyers fucking themselves.
You know,
So
that I've heard this before that people are remember, because there's so much product out there nowadays, and also people, and can't expect audience members to remember movies from 20 years ago, but they do, or they remember moments in film that made impact, right? And so you don't get to pick and choose what those moments are, but you're told by people over the years how television shows or films you've been in impacted them and why. And so I've heard this before about that scene with the lawyer, and and I watched it, and I understand why. It lives on in film infamy.
it definitely resonates in the
Yeah,
movie. So
yeah, it was very effective, done well. I mock not. It was good stuff.
it definitely was. According to your bio, you are a fan of Burt Lancaster, James Cagney, Edward G. Robinson, Lana Turner, and Rita Hayworth. Can you explain why their influences to you?
Um, Burt Lancaster. He's one of those rare like talents and just forces of nature that you witness on the screen and you just know that he's married to the art form. He's married to whatever role they gave him, whatever he was consigned to do. He would go above and beyond. And also, I think there was a charisma. No, I know there's a charisma about him and his physicality that I also admired. His vitality times his intelligence. There's a film that I think it was one of his production companies that produced called The Sweet Smell of Success. His ability to communicate um, certain philosophies regarding in this particular story, the pursuit of power and the decadence of that world. And Tony Curtis, I think, plays his protege, who's trying to climb the proverbial ladder to become you know something important to be reckoned with, and just the way it was written and the way Burt Lancaster performed and how he communicated some of this very just profound dialogue about the temptation to be make vanity and God, and also the how how yeah, just how that world is so could be intoxicating and rob someone of their humanity. So I never forget that film, Sweet Smell of Success, Burt Lancaster, Tony Curtis. And I mean, there's a plethora of films I can mention, of Yvonne DiCarlo, Burt Lancaster, a film called Crisscross with Dan Duryea. So I don't know, I just charisma, dedication to the art form, very apparent like in his work, his physicality. Um, sometimes there's actors that don't have to say much; they just appear in the frame, and you watch them deal with the circumstance, and they don't rely heavily on the literature. When they do say something, it has meaning because they're so immersed in that world. So I think Burt Lancaster's a supreme example of complete dedication on so many levels. And I remember Burt Reynolds telling me that he always did his own stunts, so he's fully committed on so many levels. He's truly an inspiration. Anyone I think who takes the craft, the art form, and the profession very serious. He's definitely a frame of reference, I think, for anyone, for any artist, in terms of discipline, commitment. James Cagney, what can I say about James Cagney? White Heat, um, Cody Jarrett, the way he embodied some of these gangster characters are just so like Shakespearean. He took something that most people would think is moronic or has no depth and make it almost seem virtuous. And he's also a song and dance man. He did another film based on Lon Chaney Jr.'s life, I think, Lon Chaney, that showed an incredible range of sensitivity, diversity, yeah, um, diversity, and just brilliance. He could dance, he could sing, he could do everything. So he's what they call a triple threat. I admired how James Cagney wanted to make be holding your gun in one hand, the next minute be tap dancing with a cane in the other. You don't see that very often, especially back in American cinema has it's kind of departed from that excellence and that commitment to task. Lana Turner, I know I just fell in love, I think, with her appearance at first. I saw a film with her called The Postman Always Rings Twice with John Garfield. The chemistry between John Garfield and Lana Turner was just like, and it wasn't, it was back in a time where they couldn't, exploit the physics of sexuality in a way that was lascivious. They did it in subtle ways. And the chemistry those two had together, and the way Lana Turner communicated frustration she had for loving this man while she was married to another man who was older. I don't know, just something about the way she embodied that character. I never forgot it. And then I started to pursue other films that she was in to study her work and be a fan. Rita Hayworth, magic. Her singing, her dancing. What was the film that really got me? Gilda. Yeah, she's just poetry in motion, and a depth and a way of communicating the characters that she portrayed that you could tell she had probably had a tortured life, despite the very obvious beauty of Rita Hayworth. You got the sense that there was something else going on where she was not enamored by her own beauty. She had character that was greater than her physical appearance. And how often do you see that these days when you live in a culture? People are so self-possessed and obsessed with their appearance. So I think in that sense, she was very unusual.
It's awesome. I love your explanations. It's really great. So, what about 3 minutes left? Can we take a few minutes to talk about one of your news movies, Bloodthirst, that just came out? You played the Vampire Master. That's super cool.
I just,
I
I
like
just, I
that.
just, I just, it's good. But you get a kick because the holidays are coming through, just kind of a little levity. And then,
That's
so
pretty
yeah,
cool.
bloodthirst, vampires, end of the world, apocalypse. Yeah, happy stuff. Keeps things humming. Evil.
So is it out in theaters or it was just a world
Yeah,
premiere
it's
that
out.
one
It's
time?
out on every possible, I guess, streaming platform available to man. You can see it. All you have to do, with the internet, you just type in the name Bloodthirst and you can find it. Not that hard if you want to. It was
Oh, I'm
released through
definitely gonna check it out.
Lionsgate. Yeah, it's released through Lionsgate Grindstone. That's a pretty big company, so it should be easy to find. It was released on Halloween, directed by Michael Sue, produced by Michael Mahal, Sonny Mahal, good friends of mine, and very loyal producers who have done me more courtesy and compliment than I deserve in terms of allowing me various range of characters that normally the traditional mainstream Hollywood would never let me manifest or portray. So take my hat off to them. I salute them as my as the way you would as their CEO.
I'm definitely gonna check that out because I'm a huge fan of your work because you are the one of my favorite actors. So
Thank you.
it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I really do appreciate coming on my show.
Thank you,
Um,
Ron.
I wish you nothing but the best in your career, and I hope you win more awards. And for the more movies that just came out, like I was checking IMDb out, there's a lot more movies that are in pre-production that are I'm looking forward to watching because you're in them. So,
Thank you,
um,
Benjamin. It means the world to me that somebody's paying attention to the commitment that's required. Because people ask me all the time, can you give me advice? I say, yeah, I can give you advice. One word, commitment.
definitely. I mean,
Commitment.
that's what commitment and persistence is what gets anyone through. So,
Yeah, I think, that word encompasses many variables that employ
yeah,
discipline, all the things that we all know that if you're committed to something, then it requires efforts, not just daydreaming. You have to apply yourself. If it's a true commitment, then you know, it requires action and sacrifice and hard work. There's the gimmick mentality, sure. I'm not knocking it, but I see no evidence I've gotten by my charming good looks. So I have to figure out another way to impress people, I guess, with the art form.
that's super awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, the infamous, the best actor that I've known so far, Mr. Robert LaSardo. Thank you very much for joining me today. Happy Veterans Day to you, sir, and thank you for your service. And I
Thank you,
wish you
brother.
nothing but the best of luck in your career.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. God bless.